Hello friends, welcome to Dreamweaver Crocheting with Love. In today's tutorial, I am going to teach you how to crochet this mini puffy hearts. Now as a beginner, if you are well versed with stitches of single crochet as well as single crochet reduction stitches, then you can easily crochet this mini hearts. So let's see how this is worked out. The materials that we need in order to crochet this puffy hearts are a 2.5 mm crochet hook, any colored 4-ply cotton yarn as per your choice, scissors, 2 stitch markers, a tapestry needle and fiber fill to stuff inside the hearts. So let's begin. To start up with our mini puffy hearts, first make a magic circle. And into this magic circle, work 6 single crochets. So here I have done with the 6 single crochets. Now just pull the tail of the magic circle to close it. And since we'll be working in rounds, so there is no need to work a slip stitch. Now for the second round, the sequence is to work 2 single crochet per stitch. So going into the first stitch, work 2 single crochets. Now using the marker, we'll mark the first stitch of our second round. Follow the same sequence for the next 5 stitches. So going into each stitch, work 2 single crochets. So I have come to the end of the second round. Now since initially for the first round we had worked 6 single crochets. So by the end of the second round we have in total 12 single crochets. Now for the third and the fourth round we won't be working any increases. So going into each of the stitches we'll be working 1 single crochet. So in order to keep track of the first stitch, I'll put a marker into the first stitch and then working in rounds. Going into each stitch, work 1 single crochet. So repeat this for both the rounds, that is round 3 and 4. So once I'm done with my fourth round, I shall get back. So here I am done with the 2 rounds, that is round 3 and round 4. And since for both the rounds we didn't work any increases, so the number of single crochets remains the same, that is 12. Now just remove this marker. And going into the next stitch, work 1 slip stitch. And cut this yarn. Leave a long tail. Now in similar manner, we need to work one more piece, but after working the 4 rounds, as we have done for this, do not fasten off since we'll be using the yarn to join the 2 pieces together. So once I'm done with the second piece, I shall get back. So as you can see, for the second piece, I have worked 4 rounds. Now after working the last stitch of the 4th round, I have counted 3 stitches behind and into the 4th stitch, I put the second marker. Now we shall begin with our 5th round. In the 5th round, we will be joining the 2 pieces together. So as we normally do, just remove this marker and start up with our 5th round. So going into the stitch, work the first stitch of the 5th round and put a marker to mark the first stitch. Now work one single crochet into each of the stitches till you reach the second marker. Now till here I have worked 8 single crochets in total. Now remove this marker and into this marked stitch work the 9th single crochet. Now we won't be working any stitches into the next 3 stitches. Now just pick up the next piece and going into the stitch just after the stitch where we had slip stitched, insert your hook and continue working one single crochet into each of the stitches. So in this part also we'll be working one single crochet into the 9 stitches. So over here I have worked 9 single crochets for this part too, and the next 3 stitches I have left it as it is. So I have worked in total 18 single crochets, that is 9 single crochets for this side and 9 single crochets for this side. And the 3 single crochets that I have left for both the sides will be joining them together using the yarn which I had left out initially. So first let me just tie up this yarn so that our stitches don't get opened up. So I put the yarn into my needle. So just align the 3 stitches of both the sides together in this way and going through the stitches on both the sides, join them together. So once you have sewed them together firmly, just tie knots. And push this yarn on the inner part. So from the top portion, you can see how the pieces are joined together. So after working the 5th round, in total I have 18 single crochets and this is how our heart looks. So we are done with the upper portion of our heart. Now the next 3 rounds, that is round 6, 7, 8, will be working reduction stitches so as to narrow down the bottom part. So now we shall start with the 6th round, which is the first reduction round. Remove the stitch marker and into the stitch work the first stitch of 6th round. Now let's mark the first stitch by putting the stitch marker. Now the sequence of this round is to work 7 single crochets followed by 1 reduction stitch. So we have done with the first single crochet. We need to work 6 more single crochets. So here I have done with the 7 single crochets. Now we'll work with the first reduction. So for that we need not insert into both the loops. Just go into the front loop and pull up a loop. Again into the next stitch, go into the front loop and pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, go to all the 3 loops. So we are done with our first reduction. Now continue with the pattern of working 7 single crochets. So I've done the 7 single crochets. Now I'm left with the last 2 single crochets where we'll be working the reduction stitch. So again going into the front loop, pull up a loop, going into the front loop of the next stitch, pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all the 3 loops. So we have done the second reduction. So that completes our 6th round. Now for the 7th round, remove the stitch marker and work the first single crochet of the 7th round. Put the marker to mark the first stitch of the round. Now the sequence of the 7th round is to work 2 single crochets into the first 2 stitches followed by 1 reduction stitch. So we have already done with the first single crochet. Now going into the next stitch, work the second single crochet and into the next 2 stitches we'll be working a reduction stitch. So it is the same as we had done earlier. Just go onto the front loop and pull up 2 loops. So we have 3 loops on a hook, yarn over and pull through all the 3 loops. Again the pattern repeats, that is to work 2 single crochets into the next 2 stitches followed by 1 reduction stitch. So just continue with the sequence till the end of the round. I forgot to mention the number of stitches after the end of the 6th round. So by the end of the 6th round, we will be having about 16 single crochets, and by the end of the 7th round, the total number of single crochets are 12. Now before proceeding with our 8th round, we shall stuff in some of the fiber fill. So just remove this marker. Now using the back portion of our hook, I'll be stuffing this fiber fill inside. Now we'll be working with the 8th round, which is the final reduction round. So the sequence of the round is to work 2 single crochets into the first 2 stitches followed by 1 reduction stitch. So going into the first 2 single crochets, work 1 single crochet each. And into the next 2 stitches, working on the front loop only, work a reduction stitch. You'll be repeating the same for 2 more times. So here I am done with the 8th round, and by the end of the 8th round, the total number of single crochets are 9. Now slip stitch into the next stitch and cut the yarn. Leave a long tail so that you can use it to sew the bottom part of our heart. Now before closing the gap on the bottom part, I will stuff few more fiber fill inside. I put the yarn into my needle. In order to close this gap, we'll be going through the front loops of all the 9 single crochets. And tie knots. So that completes our mini puffy heart. So you can use these hearts to make variety of crochet projects like keychains, earrings or anything of your choice. So that's all for today's tutorial. I hope you found this tutorial really very useful as well as interesting too. In case of any queries, please let me know through comments. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.